Hey, good morning for everyone tuning in. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm blessed and grateful to be joined by one of our Freedom Air clients, Mel. So good morning, Mel. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Super
Pleasure.
excited.
Pleasure. Yeah, me too. There's going to be, some great conversations today, I have no doubt. So Mel's, as we said, one of our Freedom Air clients and helps yogis to build their personal brand and really monetize and attract clients from social media. So, and we've been working together for a few months. I'll let Mel do the talking in a second. But one of the cool things about, I suppose, this conversation is Mel's just got back from 10 days in Tassie, a business trip to Melbourne. Like, everything's been happening in the background, hasn't it?
Yes. I've been having myself a time, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it. So it's one of your first days back in the business, and so I thought, why not? Let's have a chat and talk over the last kind of 4 or 5 months, and
Yeah.
look to what that's been like. So tell us a little bit more, just for anyone watching in, and for people also who might be wanting to work with you in the future. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing within your business right now.
Yeah, sure thing. So as you mentioned, I help yoga instructors and wellness practitioners basically start and build their own movement and bring in more freedom into their life. So again, freedom in every form. So more time, more impact, and more income. Because I saw a bit of a disconnect in the industry and saw lots of exhaustion, and I was like, cool, all right, what can I do to start my own movement and change the way that the industry operates and move away from exhaustion and more into this way of freedom.
Yeah, awesome. And I think if we're looking back, it's really cool to see. I've seen the massive growth, and I've been lucky enough to be part of that. But why don't you kind of give us an insight into where you were maybe 6 months ago? You were following us in the background a little bit as well, before coming on board. So where were you at? What were you up to? And how's that kind of different to what you're doing today?
Well, so different. Couldn't be any more one extreme to the other, basically. So 6 months ago, I was working as a yoga instructor. Teaching a ridiculous amount of classes sometimes from 6 a.m. till private classes until 9:30 at night. So I was teaching in studios, private classes, gyms, and that wasn't bringing in enough income for the family. So then I also had an administration job where I was studio manager of a studio that I worked for. That was about 25 hours a week. So I was definitely working more than full-time hours. Still a mum. So I've got Naya, who's 4.5, and she'd be in daycare for about 3 days a week. So still being mum, still being a yoga instructor, wife, doing admin, working 6 days a week. Probably get up at 5 a.m. and open up the laptop to sneak in a bit of work sometimes. It was, I look back and I'm like, wow, what was I doing? That was crazy.
Isn't it interesting? Because one of the things you said, I still remember on our first call together, you were saying about how you open the laptop to get work done at maybe 5 o'clock. And, again, that conversation sparked, you're a yoga instructor, you're in wellness, yet, you're going to the classes, you're exhausted, you're going to the classes, you're burnt out, and, all those things that you do live by. It wasn't really kind of in alignment for yourself, was it?
No, and I didn't actually realize, because when you're in something and you're just living day to day, that you don't actually realize that you are living completely out of alignment. And then it wasn't until I basically started this business that I was like, wow, by the time it got to Friday and I'd teach a double class, I was having 2 to 3 coffees just to make it there. And sort of felt like I had to put jazz hands, if you would, to, you know, to sort of lead these big classes where I'm telling everyone, take time for yourself,
Yeah.
slow down, you know, all the rest of it. And then, yeah, realizing that I was exhausted and not living in alignment at all, sort of not, practicing what I preached. So that was a bit of a eye-opener, a bit of a shock really for me.
Yeah, for sure. And like, because I think a lot of people are in this position, like this is for coaches, it's for people in jobs. Like you were kind of a mixture of both. You had this admin side, that the regularity, but you also, you know, had effectively were self-employed.
Yes.
I think people are in that position, you know, watching on for you, for myself, for Sally. And I think what you said there is really key. It's like they don't know they're in it, or if they do, they're kind of like, what do I need to do to get out of that? And
yes,
I think, you know, for yourself, what was it for you that helped you kind of decide you wanted to grow a business? What was it for you that, you know, sparked that? What was it for you in the background that really changed things? And obviously, I think working with us has been some kind of impact, but what was all that going on in the background? Because I think it's really relevant for maybe someone who's going through it at the minute, but doesn't have that insight into how to maybe switch.
I think it was definitely watching yourself and Sally, for quite some time, and watching your clients. And just sort of watching, going, what's going on and how are they managing to do this? How are they managing to go out for coffees, and what's this 3-hour workday, and how is this? Like, it was just like this moment of intrigue, really, like something's going on and I want to find out more because I feel like I'm doing so much just to get by. And I guess it's that energy thing as well. Like, I could just sense that there was another way from, watching you, Sally, and your clients. And I was like, seeing your community and going, okay, there's something there and I don't know what it is, but I need to find out. Yeah.
That's awesome. And as well, I think as well, if you look at what you were doing before, the yoga, you know, you were a yoga instructor, you were admin, because that must have been a hard transition. Like, I know I was there as you went through it, but what was that like? Because again, I want people who are watching this to kind of understand that, you know, yes, it's difficult, but everyone goes through the same journey. Everyone has to quit their job. Everyone has to leave something behind. Everyone has to take that leap of faith. And what was going through, if you can remember, I know it was a few months ago, but what was that like? And, you know, what was going on in your mind? Give us a bit of an insight to that as well. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. So it was, if I had to describe it, it was like choosing between an old reality and a new reality. And, you know, I definitely tried it probably in the first month or two because I'm quite stubborn, but I was like, I can do it all. Like, I can still have my foot and still teach a lot of classes and run my own movement at the same time. And realizing that there was definitely a bit of attachment there of letting go of that old reality and that way of life, because that's where my comfort zone was and that's what I knew. And I guess it's like that moment where you're just like, okay, you know, this movement, how much does it mean to me? And it's not going to work if it's just 50% and 50%. And again, of course, I had to go through that to realize that, my movement was just, and my new reality meant more to me. And I got really clear on the life that I wanted to live and the movement that I wanted to create. And that did involve me having to let go. It's always in the letting go. Letting go of that old reality and that old bit of, you know, comfort zone, or like a comfort, you know, a teddy that kids have. Because you're like, it's so familiar. It's like putting on a pair of track pants or holding on to a, you know, like a comforter of some form. So there was definitely a bit of discomfort in the beginning. But then came the freedom. So I think that's where the freedom started to come in, when I began to let go of that old reality and the old way of doing things, just because that's all I knew at the time.
Yeah, for sure. And you've mentioned the word movement a few times. Now, when you first came to work with us, obviously that wasn't really something you maybe thought about before, and you know, it was something probably quite fresh to you.
Yeah.
Where is that something that was already inside you? Was that something that, you know, you deep down you probably was always, you know, probably wanting to build, and do you think it just took some uncovering, or you know, how's that come about? Because again, I think there's many people out there they have this fire, they have this message, but maybe it's not being put out to the right people and in front of the right people. So yeah, how's that all come about, and what's that like now?
Yeah, great question. I definitely think that there was the movement has been inside, and I guess it's that inner knowing. Like, I knew that I wanted to help people and make a change. That's all I knew on the surface level.
Yeah.
But then, so there's always been that inner fire there that I was like, I've known that I was sort of built and meant to evolve to do something really powerful and have a powerful movement, but I didn't know what it was. But the fire and that inner knowing that I was going to make some waves somehow, that was inside of me. But it wasn't until working like with you and Sally really that you helped me uncover and get really clear about what that was. And thank you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I think you know, something we'd like to talk about a little bit is, you know, when we first met you and where you were at, you know, obviously you're working full time within a job and a business, like you were half, but you obviously came to one of our 3-day events. And that was really, you know, we call that the Freedom Man Blueprint. It's like the blueprint to building the freedom business. And within the 3 days, you know, we went through that, and we effectively had, you know, we built the foundations for what you wanted to take out to the market. Like, that's changed a lot as well, which is normal, like in your first kind of phase of business. But, you know, we spent the 3 days going through the foundations, the business model, and we, you know, obviously then put it out into the marketplace and dropped in, you know, a few systems, a few processes that help you to become more successful in your business. How impactful was that 3 days? Because I want people to understand, you know, because people often think, oh, it's 3 days, surely it can't be that amazing. How do I put this? How much impact did it have? And was that really the kind of springboard? Was that the starting point to where you're up to now?
Yeah. Wow, where to start? The word sort of potent comes to mind, and I know everyone uses this word, but yeah, just eye-opening and transformational. I know it's very cliche, but it's like, as I mentioned before, watching you guys, I knew that there was something you were doing that I was intrigued by, and that there was this other world and other way of doing things, of living and business, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I could sense it. Yeah. And then it's not until you're in the energy of the room and going into the foundations and really opening everyone in the room up to this new way of living and doing business and having this beautiful blend of life and business and how we view things. And so that was just like and it really, really stretched me because I'd never had anyone ask me the questions that you'd asked me before. No one had sort of opened my mind up to the possibilities of what we could create. And so, I just remember every day just being like, what just happened? It was incredible. And I remember just being like on this natural high for like days afterwards. I rang my partner Tristan, and I was just like, you've got to it was in Brisbane and he was on the Sunshine Coast. I was like, you've got to drive down. Let's spend the night together. I've got to tell you about what I've just experienced. Yeah.
How cool is that? Like that's,
yeah.
I remember that as well, because it was, you were like, no, you've got to come down. And you guys spent the evening in Brisbane. And yeah, I think we spoke a few days later as well. And yeah, it's been all, I think those 3 days are, like you say, they're potent, but when someone goes through it and, you know, that really is that springboard, like the transformation through in the last 4 or 5 months is like, you're a different person to the person that I first spoke to on the phone, you know, about applying to come and working with us. So I think, you know, when you think about it, that 3 days can change things that much. It's really cool. Like it's a really cool experience. And that's why we're doing it, obviously. So for yourself, obviously you know, if we go tactical, like we built the business model with you, and we, you know, gave you our marketing blueprints, we gave you our graceful selling process. And I think one thing that, you know, especially where you're at within your business, you were brand new to owning your own business. Okay. That was effectively brand new. And, you know, we're a big believer in, hey, even if you're brand new with a small audience, it's like go and work with high ticket clients, i.e. clients who pay you a premium service point, and work with fewer of them rather than trying to sell your soul to try and get to that 10K a month. Okay. And I think it only took you a few weeks really to you know, experience the success of taking on what we call a high-end client or a premium client. How was that experience? Because again, I think somebody listening to this might be in that place where they're starting out new, or they're maybe a few months into the business and they might be churning the wheels, working hard, but you know, they might even have a bunch of clients. But you know, I believe you made 3K from one client in your first few weeks. I think other people on the outside would, well, that would be like 20 clients for them. Okay. So what was that like? And how was that a transition as well? Because I know you hadn't done that before. What was it like? Was it easy, hard? Talk to me.
It was actually just a really beautiful and empowering process for myself and my first client. And it was just that moment of everything you talked about in the 3-day event, how, you know, we're looking to work with soul-aligned clients that are really excited to work with you, and everything you'd said. And then I just experienced it, and I was like, wow, okay, this was everything and more. Like it didn't, you know, especially being a yogi, I was just like, at first, you know, my first thought was like, how am I meant to do this? I go from charging workshops where I charge $30 and you know, try and fill out the studio room, and then I'm going to ask one client for 3K. But the way that, you know, that you had sort of guided me and supported me through was to always keep that energy really light, and it was. And so the whole process was like, the money wasn't even an issue at the end. It was just like a really feel good, like no-brainer. Yep, of course. And my client was just so excited to get to work, and it was just amazing. Really, I just got off the phone, just like, wow, okay, that's
that easy.
That's how simple it can be. That's how simple it can be.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that. I think you mentioned something there, keeping the money light, and that is really important. But I think, you know, during the 3 days, one of the really key things that we do is we build those foundations. Like we immerse you into that, and then we get an offer that's actually, you know, right to sell. I think many, especially yogis, especially the people that are looking at you now, if you want to work with Mel, it's like you need to build something online if you want to take time back against money. You need to create an offering that somebody is going to take you up on. And that's what we did with you, isn't it, Mel? Like we built your offering's changed now, but we built an offer that somebody was like, hey, I'll pay for that. I'll take that offer. and I'm going to enjoy the process. The money's going to be easy, because when you build something with debt, people aspire to be that result, and people aspire to get into your service. And having gone through that now for many months, like what does that feel like when you're building a business that is that way inclined versus maybe, you know, what you've seen before with yogas, where you're chasing, where you're trying to fill up classes? Like, what's the transition been like for you there?
So going from charging the low level amounts to now working with high ticket. It just now seems like once you experience it, you can't go back, because it's like it has to be, this is where like the deep level of transformation is. So, and that's what I see in sort of the industry, and what I was doing was like, these workshops and classes are epic, and we're charging this low level price. So then it's a surface level. Whereas when you work one-on-one, you enter a relationship, which is so different, you know? So that's why we're always making sure that we're a right fit to work together. And so just for now, seems like the only way, like I really want to get to know my clients and where they're at and where they want to get to, and help them in that way. And for me, that's a deep level, that's a juicy stuff that I'm here for. And hearing people's dreams, because that's what is so cool when when I'm on calls and I'm hearing what they want to create in life. For me, it's just like it's a bigger picture stuff that really excites me. And so for me now, it's like, it's the only way.
Yeah, it's so cool. And what you just said then was probably the best part of it. It's like you can see it now, like this lights you up. This is the only thing you can do. And I think, you know, people from the outside, when you're working, I've never been a yoga instructor, but I imagine when you're working classes, when you work in admin, it's like you are doing what you love to some degree. But you're not really doing what you love, because you're potentially tired, you're not making enough bank. Like I know the yoga industry because I've helped them with marketing and stuff in the past. They're not making the money they want to. It's a big problem, which is why I love having you help them. But again, we come back to this. It's kind of like where you're at now. You can truly be fulfilled. Like I can see it in your face, and we're through Zoom. It's a different level of what you're feeling now, isn't it, than what you were doing before?
Absolutely. And then it's just it's still like, again, before it's like, just I guess it's that point of realizing like, I did, you know, you can do what you love, but it's just so different when you can do what you love that lights you up, and get paid your worth. And that, and it really does light me up now. I could listen to people's bigger picture and bigger visions and help them create that all day.
And it's a higher level of consciousness in a client, isn't it, as well? I think, again, what you changed at first, you went from, you know, again, the mindset of somebody selling their time for money, being in a job with security and all that stuff. But when you step out and now you're able to truly create from your soul, it's like you're putting your offers together. Like you're thinking of someone who needs your help, and you're like, this is my offer to you. And isn't that a powerful position versus maybe before, where you're tied down to a certain way of doing things, or you're tied to an hour's worth of, you know, servicing someone in a class? Like it's just a different league to the transformation. And I think a lot of people get mixed up when they hear this. It's like high ticket is the transformation. It isn't the money.
Yes, absolutely. That higher level of consciousness right there is everything. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. That is exactly right. And what's going on for you now then? I think my question is like, where do you feel your biggest transformations are? Because from the outside, Mel, as I've said, different person, talk differently, walk differently, act differently, and which is the normal. Like it's just what we do.
Yeah.
But where do you feel that's going on right now? What do you think, and this could be something you've discussed with Tristan as well, but like, what do you feel like is the big changes for you?
Yeah, so some personal breakthroughs. Yeah, like you said, I'm just not the same person that I was before starting this business. Yeah, much like you said, before we started or just starting business, I probably would have been in my yoga gear. Just
How different
not
is
sure
that?
what I was really doing. Yeah, and lots of people pleasing going on, no boundaries again, and just I guess, yeah, I hadn't stepped into my true power and my full potential, and yeah, myself as a really powerful leader. And now I feel like I'm. It has been, it's been, I don't want to say journey. Everyone says journey, but it has been a journey to really embody, yeah, that higher level of myself where I'm just like not apologetic about speaking my mind anymore. Freedom of expression's probably been a really big one. Like, we talk about the freedom lifestyle, having the extra time, of course, and that's amazing, and the income. But for me, freedom of expression, just getting to show up and say whatever that's on my mind or what I'm seeing or how I can help people without having a second thought of like, oh, is this going to offend someone, or oh goodness, like my mum or my auntie or someone, what are they going to think of me?
Yeah.
It's just, now I just show up with confidence, and because that's what my movement is about. And so having that, that's freedom for me right there. And yeah, freedom of expression, and yeah, just having that inner confidence as well has been huge. Yeah.
It's really cool to hear, because our first call together, I remember you saying something. You said, it sounds really cool to be able to build a business around me being myself, in those words roughly. And to hear you now say that you have that, that's worth $1 million, because that was your goal, if that makes sense. Like, we've got plenty more to do, but that was the goal. It was like, I want more time, and I want to be able to build a business around me being myself and dancing and all. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're completely
yeah.
So
yeah, and I guess and family as well has been a really big one for me. When I look back, because I was always so busy working 6 days and all hours of the night, unintentionally I realized what I was saying to, say, like my husband Tristan, was like, just the constant message that I was giving was like, I don't have time for you. Or Naira, I was just like, oh, let's put another movie on so I can squeeze in this bit of work or write a class. And now that's completely changed in my relationships with my family, building a business where I'm just like, every day, like, I've got time for you. Like, and that is also worth, you can't put a price tag on these things. It's like getting to actually enjoy life and, again, decide to do trips. We've been on so many trips since I started my business, and that just completely destroys all stereotypes that you start your own business and don't look at a holiday or don't look at a day off.
Yeah.
Instead, Tristan's like, oh, yeah, I like this. Yeah, this is.
That's so cool. And so I think it was yesterday, I saw a little plan for your next month, and it is about the money, it's about the results, it's about what this is giving you on some level. And what I'd like to ask is, you've now, you went through the 3 days, we built your offer out, we built your program, like, you're now out there creating your movement, and you're now, you're talking about it daily, you're building a following, all of the good stuff that people want. Financially, what are you going to make in the next 30 days? Like, what's, and obviously you've got to go and do this, but I saw the plan you put together, and what is that number?
30K.
30K in 30 days. That's my favorite.
30K.
My favorite challenge.
Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Did you ever, like, you've got to go and do the work now, which is awesome, which is the exciting part. I love going and doing the work. But did you ever think you would do that 6 months ago?
No, I wouldn't have even spoken about 10K, 20K, 30K. There were these big numbers that were just never spoken about. And now it's just like, okay, 30K in 30 days,
Let's
it's
go.
done, it's happening, and yeah, let's have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, you get to have some fun with that because, well, I know from the background, like you're not going to be working with heaps of clients and you're going to be working with a handful of clients really deeply, and you get to transform lives with that, which is amazing. So yeah, I think just asking you that question now versus again, 5 months ago, hey, how much do you want to make in a month? Your first answer was, so, you know, 5K would be really good. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Very different now. And that's what I really love here is, again, we use this word a lot, but it's like consciousness. It's availability. Like you're now believing that 30K is on its way in the next 30 days. Whether you go and hit 30K or whether you hit 20, it's just that consciousness. It's like, hey, let's ask for what we really want. And let's go and give it a go instead of trying for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a month, working just as hard, if not harder, to get there, and then not even hitting that. That's what's scary to me. And I think that's kind of what your movement is against, isn't it? It's kind of like going out and looking for more from life.
Yeah. And I think, a big shift has been like before. I probably didn't have that inner belief or that self-worth to be like, oh, I would have been like, who on earth is going to, pay me 30K, or how on earth would I ever do this? And now it's just this total change in mindset where I'm just like, of course, this movement is so powerful, and it's just like, of course, 30Ks in 30 days. It's just, I feel, it's that self-worth, just like, of course, and asking for more as well, which I'd never, ever done before. It was just like, do the same as what everyone else is doing, and then just set the life on autopilot and keep going. And now it's like the moment you start to ask for more and start to dream bigger picture, bigger numbers, everything, that's when you're going to draw it in. So that's been, a huge shift for me.
Yeah, amazing. And I think, just again, looking from the outside, it's really clear to see now you're doing the trips, you're living into a lifestyle that you really wanted. And that's what it's all about. It's like go and live the life you want instead of waiting for it, because it's already available to you. And I want to be clear as well, like this, again, tactical stuff, like once we create your offer, if you're watching this now, once we create your offer, you have the ability to go and create financials. You have the ability to attract in great clients. It starts with, a few things, but one of your offers is key. Being able to put something out there. That's really why you're so confident now. It's like, because you're talking about something that you have talked about many, many times now, but again, you're talking about something of value. Like, it's easy to talk about value once you understand where your value is.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's something I've really enjoyed seeing with yourself, is you've mentioned it. It's like you now see your value easily. Like, it's easy.
That's what I was trying to say.
No, amazing. So I think the main thing I want to finish off on here, Mel, is, and this is for us, but it's also for you as well, because it's the same answer. But going back to that 4 or 5 months ago, going back to that 3 days, and if there's someone on here watching in, they've got to the end of this now, which means they're pretty compelled by what you're talking about. What's your advice for someone who's maybe looking in, going, okay, that sounds cool? What's your advice for someone at that point, especially considering we do have a 3-day event, which you went to, coming up pretty soon? What's your advice for someone in that position?
Basically, it's like you're already watching this for a reason. It's like that's the intuition part right there. And so it's like from there, it's like same with me. I knew that there was like this amazing world, and that there was something cool that you and Sally were up to, and that was my intuition. So it was basically just like, listen to that, because that is trying to guide you into the right pathway, with the right support and the right mentors. And the 3-day event, that's where it all happens. That is where, like, being in the energy of that room is just, can't really describe it. But I always say, I just wish I could bottle up that energy that's in the room and just wear it as a necklace every day, because it's just like, but of course you have to say yes first to get in the room. So again, it's just like, listen to the intuition. And then basically say yes, because once you're in that room, that's where life gets exciting. That's where things start to really take off from that moment. And you don't look back after those 3 days. Like, it's just incredible. Just, you sit there with your jaw open, madly typing on the laptop, because again, it's just like so much value. And it makes it all really real as well, because you're just in it, and you're like, wow, everything that I've been watching your stories and your content and everything, and then seeing it in real life, that's where you're just like, okay, things just got real. Like, this is things just so I just couldn't. You can probably see already, I just can't even put it into words. Like,
and it's great to hear that as well, because like you said, I said, it is where it all starts in those 3-day events, especially the 3-day blueprint. Like, we teach you the basics in that room. We build out the entire framework, and then you're able to go and get the results. But I think, again, going back to it, you just see a different way of living, like a different way of life, doing business, and you're exposed to people doing some really cool things as well. Not just myself and Sally, but obviously other clients doing some cool things in their life. So I think that's, thank you for sharing that, because again, it's way better for you to share what you feel about those 3 days than it is for me, because I'm biased. I think they're great, but I'm the one standing at the front. So, that's
and actually what you just said right there, being in the room with the community and the other entrepreneurs, basically, is just again so cool to see people that are, again, operating at this higher level, but everyone's just so connected and on the same page. Like, there's no ego, and it's just this really just this really tight-knit, feel-good, high vibe in 3 days, basically.
I love that. Thanks for joining me, Mel. It's been awesome to kind of hear your story and where you're at and some of the breakthroughs. Again, this is really great for your clients watching, and it's great for people who want to work with you. So if you are watching this and you're here, obviously, because Mel is someone you're aspiring to work with, I think the best place to reach out for you is on Instagram, isn't it, Mel? Is that right?
Yes, sure. So, Instagram, Melissa Media.
I'll put a handle in the comments section below this. If you're watching and for us, you're looking in going, hey, Martyn, hey, Sally, whoever you're saying that to, and you want to be part of the next 3-day event that Mel's obviously been through, and maybe you've already built a business and you want to be part of the movement, the Freedom Air community, feel free to reach out. But effectively, who it's good for is aspiring coaches, someone who knows they want a different way, or maybe you've already built a coaching business and you want to scale that to 100K plus a month with the Freedom lifestyle. Get in touch. I'd be more than happy to have that conversation. But thank you so much, Mel. I do appreciate your time. I think there's a lot of value for people watching and seeing your journey, and they're going to get to see even more. Hopefully in the next 30 days as well, I'll be doing a 30K and 30-day testimonial. That would be,
absolutely.
Be Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Mel, and appreciate it
Thank you.
as always.
All right. Thank you, Martyn.
No worries.